Next, a man who has been suspected of underage sex with a teenage girl has been named by Donald Trump as the next Attorney General of the United States. Matt Gaetz is a Trump loyalist. He resigned from Congress on Wednesday, 2 days before an ethics committee investigation into alleged impropriety was due to be released. Gaetz has been involved in a lot of scandals over his 7 years in Congress, many with his fellow Republicans. Here at France 24, Oliver Farry.
Even among far-right Republicans, Matt Gaetz stands out as a firebrand, and his nomination as Donald Trump's Attorney General has taken Washington by surprise. Since being first elected to Congress in 2017, the Florida native has been regularly mired in controversy. Gaetz was accused of child sex trafficking and statutory rape in 2020, though the Department of Justice decided not to press charges. He has also been accused of illicit drug use and of using campaign funds for personal use. Gaetz has regularly peddled conspiracy theories such as the white nationalist Great Replacement. He has also claimed that the January 6, 2021 riots, when Donald Trump supporters overran the Capitol in Washington, were a government setup.
Congresswoman Green and I are not here to celebrate January 6th. We are not here to obsess about it, but we are here to expose the truth, to ask key questions about what happened on January 6th, who animated the violence, the extent to which the federal government may have been involved.
In October 2023, he led a putsch within the House Republicans to replace Speaker Kevin McCarthy with Mike Johnson, the latter of whom gave his support to Gaetz on Wednesday.
I got to know Matt very well. Look, I'll say this. Everyone who served with him will tell you he's one of the most intelligent members of Congress. He's an accomplished attorney. He's very concerned about the lawfare that has been occurring in the Department of Justice under the Biden administration.
But Matt Gaetz is also deeply unpopular among many Republicans in Congress, notably for his role in the leadership heave against McCarthy. Some have already expressed scepticism that his nomination would receive the 50 votes needed to get confirmed by the Senate. Gaetz resigned his seat in the House of Representatives on Wednesday night, which in turn ended a House Ethics Committee investigation into the allegations hanging over him. The committee was due to release its report on Friday.
Oliver Farry setting us up for an interview with Andrew Yarrow, journalist and historian, also former scriptwriter in the Clinton White House. Andrew, thanks for being with us. What's your take on Donald Trump's appointments so far? Starting with, of course, the new Attorney General.
Well, I think Matt Gaetz is a pretty scary appointment. It's pretty shocking that somebody who really has skirted the edges of the law himself, may be the chief law enforcement officer in the United States going forward. Gaetz is certainly going to end the prosecutions of Trump and probably shut down the special prosecutor, Jack Smith. If Smith doesn't resign before then, I think it's a difficult time ahead for the United States, and with appointments like Gaetz.
Is it a sense, Andrew, what we're seeing from Donald Trump is that if you're his friend, you're in. If you contribute a lot of money, you're in. If you are, how can I put it, a competent politician or a competent administrator, chances are you're at the back of the queue.
Well, I think that's probably right. I mean, Trump had some competent administrators in his first term. Many of those people turned against him in this election campaign. His former chief of staff, John Kelly, suggested that he had fascist tendencies. I don't think those kinds of people will be around in this term. He's already showing that with his appointments. His appointment for the defense secretary, for the EPA administrator, so many of his appointments, Elise Stefanik, a hard-right Republican, as the UN ambassador, it spells difficult times ahead.
Those names, let me just read them out for the viewers. Elise Stefanik, UN ambassador, Tulsi Gabbard, director of national intelligence, and you're alluding there to Pete Hegseth, defense secretary. Some might say these people do not have the experience that's required for these august posts.
That's right. Pete Hegseth is 44 years old. Yes, he's been in the military. He had served in the National Guard in Guantanamo. He'd served in Afghanistan. But whether somebody whose main qualification has been as a Fox News presenter and supporter of Donald Trump is qualified to lead the Defense Department, to lead the most important and strongest military in the world, I think will scare a lot of people.
And that situation, Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, these people will have a real influence in what goes on next in Ukraine. And clearly, Trump is employing people who are more or less just mirroring his views.
Exactly. I mean, the entire Republican Party has been captured by Donald Trump over the last 9 years. Certainly in this election cycle, it has been. And what it will mean for Ukraine. I mean, we still don't really know what happened in that phone call with Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Zelensky the other day. I mean, we could be surprised, but I think it's a wake-up call for Europe. Being here in France these last months teaching, I know that a lot of French people, a lot of Europeans are worried about what the Trump administration will mean for Europe, both in terms of security and economically, in terms of the tariffs he's threatened to impose, 10% tariffs, even on allies here in Europe.
That issue on all levels, like you say, Europe is concerned regarding the military aspects, regarding the commercial aspects. I mean, clearly, this is in some ways taking the relationship between the US and Europe. I was going to say back 10 years, but it's more. It's back to almost a pre-war kind of setup.
Yes, yeah, that's true. I mean, speaking of a pre-war setup, Trump's slogan, America First, was the slogan of Nazi sympathizers in 1930s America. It's unprecedented in the post-war world to have someone who is so skeptical of America's long historic relationship with Europe. France, of course, is America's oldest ally. The U.S. was supported by the French in our revolution. The U.S. has come to the aid of Europe and liberated Europe, helped liberate Europe in World War II. And of course, our support in World War I, during the Cold War as well. And to have somebody who questions the value of NATO, I think a lot of Europeans should be worried. All Europeans should be worried.
Because I think it's fair to say that the presence of NATO was something that has assured, in many ways, peace in Europe since the Second World War.
That's right. That's right. NATO has assured that. America's been the backbone of NATO. Yes, Trump has pushed, as other Americans have pushed, for greater European spending on defense, but many European countries have increased their spending. France itself, the current government in France, has talked about taking more responsibility, the EU taking more responsibility for defense. Sure, that's important, but the American alliance is so important to Europe. And if Europe were to lose America as an ally, I think that would be a tragedy, a historic tragedy, and it would take a long time to come back from.
Andrew Yarrow, we need to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Andrew Yarrow, journalist and historian, former scriptwriter in the Clinton White House, teaching in France. Thank you for taking time out to speak to us here at France 24. We appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much.